I'm wondering if you remember that beautiful line from the Little Prince story. What is essential is invisible to the eye. Today's gospel invites us to that same kind of truth. Jesus gives one of his scratch your head kind of parables about the sower and the seed. And Jesus' parables are not meant to be kept on the surface. Um, they invite us to look again, to listen again, to go deeper. Why? Because Jesus primarily was a wisdom teacher. He knew how easily we settle for, well, that what merely catches our attention for the moment. Jesus said clearly in Luke's gospel, cast your nets into the deep. And that's what today's readings invite us to do, to go deeper and deeper. Not deeper or go home, but deeper and go home. What is essential is invisible to the eye. In the first reading, Isaiah speaks the word of God. My word shall not return to me void, but it shall achieve the end for which I sent it. And what is that end? It's not superficiality. It's not shallow religion. It's not surface religion, but deeper religion. In the second reading from Romans 8, my favorite chapter of Paul, Paul speaks of suffering, longing, groaning, waiting. He tells us that the sufferings of the present time are not worth comparing to the glory that is to come. And whenever we speak about suffering, my friends, we are going deep. We're talking about suffering as that which we don't have any real control over. And it's that moment we begin to cast our nets searching into the deep. And we begin to prepare the soil for some extravagant seed scattering. In today's gospel, about the parable of the sower and the seed, Jesus is casting seeds that are searching for only one thing: deep soil. And Jesus talks about the surface language, He speaks of rocky soil, thorns, shallow roots, the lure of riches, and many things that keep the seed from going deep. What is essential is what is invisible to the eye. Essential, not advisory. It's essential, this darkness, this unknowing. Could it possibly be that Jesus is asking us how we are dealing with the realities of our lives? For example, how do we respond to when the unexpected seed is thrown our way? How do pain, loss, and disappointment become growth pains and not just merely pains? If our first response to something thrown our way we don't want is, well, it just should not be this way, okay? We may be missing the wisdom found only in the deep. What is essential is invisible to the eye. Instead of trusting, we tend to give in to fear, the fear of going deep, the fear of going into the dark, into silence. I wonder if we ever cling to the illusion that Well, life should remain on the lighted surface, okay? Where we feel safe, that we feel in control, where nothing asks too much of us. But being truthful, we know that life does ask much of us. What is essential is invisible to the eye. What is the essential? We're talking about the difference between the surface soul and the deep soul. The surface soul wants control, comfort, things to go our way. But the deep soul has gone deep enough in its past to know that somehow everything ends up belonging, even what we would never, ever choose on our own. The wisdom teacher, Charlotte Joko Beck, said it so beautifully. Joy is exactly what's happening, minus our opinion of it. We want to judge everything. As much pain is inevitable, we know that, but suffering often begins when we say, it should not be this way. We want to control reality, judge it our way. In saying this, we refuse the soil into which reality is inviting us to sink our roots, to go deep. The seed, like us, must enter the if you want to live, you gotta die kind of darkness before it rises into the light. We may think that the lighted surface helps us to see clearly, okay? But real seeing comes from the heart. What is essential is invisible to the eye. Perhaps deep healing begins when we stop fighting the reality of life and begin to live it with absolute trust. We ask ourselves if we can follow and allow pain to become a growth pain. Are we ready to let the seed fall into the dark, rich soil of our lives? Are we ready to stop resisting the very place where God is waiting for us? The seeds of the divine sower are already being scattered now. Let's listen. Let's listen carefully, because I think we can almost hear those seeds falling on the ground. We can also hear them groaning. Groaning what? For our response and reception. What is essential is invisible to the eye.